In this video, we're going to use Boolean logic and some conditionals to build a simple number guessing game. So this is how it works. When I load the page, it asks me to guess a number. And behind the scenes, there is a number, in this case it's set as 7, a number that I need to pick to get it right. So if I guess something like 9, which is too high, it tells me too high, try again. So if I refresh, and this time I guess 2, it tells me that's too low, try again. And finally, if I guess it correctly with 7, it tells me you guessed it. So to build this, I'm going to go ahead and open up Sublime, make a new file, game.html, add in my HTML here, and then I'm going to add a script tag and set it equal to be game.js, which doesn't exist yet. Now I'll add that file, game.js, and in there I'm just going to put alert hello. Just as always, I want to make sure things are connected okay. So now I'm going to open this up. Alright, everything looks good. So the first thing that we want to do is figure out our logic. So I'm going to write some comments that are going to guide us throughout this. So the first thing we want to do is create secret number and then ask user for guess and then check guess. So to start, let's create the secret number, which will just start with a variable that is hard-coded, so it's always the same. Var secret number equals, and let's this time do 4. Then we're going to ask a user for their guess, so var guess equals prompt. Let's say guess a number, and that's all we need to do there, save. And then as our first step, let's just alert guess. So let's go back, refresh, guess a number, 104, and then it tells me 104. All right. So the first thing that we want to do is just check if they guessed correctly. So that conditional, let's write this as check if guess is right. That conditional is just if guess triple equals secret number. And if that's the case, let's do an alert, you got it right, and save. So there is one small problem, but I want to show it failing first. So I'm going to run this. Remember, our secret number is 4. So if I refresh and I type 4, I should see you got it right, but I'm not. And here's why. I'm going to open up the JavaScript console to illustrate this. When I do prompt, when I ask for a number, so let's do this line here, var guess equals prompt guess. When I type the number 4 in here, it's not actually stored as a number. So if I look at what guess is, you can see it's a string. And if I wanted to prove that it was a string, I could use JavaScript's type of, which tells me type of guess is string. Okay, so more importantly though, I'm trying to compare it to secret number, which remember is a number. So if I move this back here and I paste it in, we have secret number, which is the number 4, and then we have guess, which is the string 4. So as we saw in the Boolean logic video, those do not triple equals one another. So what we could do is use double equals. So I could say guess double equals secret number. But there's another way that I prefer because we still get to keep triple equals. And the way that we do that is using a bit of new code. And it looks like this. Number, capital N, guess. So we pass something in, And what that will do is actually take the string of guess and turn it into a number. So we get the number 4 there. So then what we can do is triple equals like that, where we take guess the string, turn it into a number, then check if it equals the secret number. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go back over here and just check if the number version of guess is equal to the secret number. We're going to print out you got it right. So let's refresh. Let's guess 4. And it tells us you got it right. Awesome. So if we get it wrong though, nothing happens yet. So let's add a message that says you got it wrong. So we'll have an otherwise you got it wrong. And to do that, we just want our else statement. Else, and we'll just do a alert wrong. Like that. Now let's try that, refresh. Let's type in 2, and we see wrong. So if you remember earlier on, the solution that I had would tell you if you were too high or too low. So rather than just saying wrong, we actually don't want to do that. We want to say otherwise check if higher, otherwise check if lower. So something like this. So to check if guess is higher, we're going to write an else if. Else if we need to convert it to a number again. Number guess is greater than secret number. We'll do an alert too high. Guess again. There we go. And just to check that, if I refresh and I enter something in too high, like 9, it tells me too high, guess again. But if I enter in something too low, like 2, nothing happens. So then we need to build in the final catch-all, which is if it's not equal to the secret number, and if it's not higher, then what about if it's lower? So what we could do is add another else if, and I'll just copy this one. We could do else if number guess is less than secret number, and we could say too low, guess again. But there's an easier way, which is just to use else. And that's because if the number is not equal and it's not greater than, then it has to be less than. So I can just reduce all of this to else. And then we alert too low, guess again. Let's save, open it up. So let's try something too low, like 2. Tells me too low, guess again. Let's try something too high, like 98. Too high, guess again. And let's try something just right, the number 4. You got it right. Excellent. So there's one small improvement we could make. You'll notice here that this code is being duplicated, where we're turning guess the string into a number. Rather than doing that twice, what we could do is just get it out of the way up top one time, right here, where I could say var guess is equal to the number of whatever the user types in. So just get it out of the way all in one line. And then we can just leave this as guess, because guess is now a number rather than a string. And if we try that, it works exactly the same. And if you prefer, we could make this a little clearer. Some people might argue that doing this on one line is unnecessary. So what we could do instead is something like this. Var guess, let's call it string guess, equals prompt guess a number. And then we would say var guess equals number of string guess. So it's more explicit to do it this way. So we get the string guess as just from prompt, it's a string. Then we turn it into a number and save it to a variable called guess. And then we're using that variable called guess. So just double check it still works. Too high, too low, just right. Okay, so in future versions, we're going to make this guessing game actually repeat and give you another turn where you don't have to refresh the page. It will just continue to ask you, guess again, too high, guess again, too high, guess again, and then you eventually hopefully get it right.